Hey everybody, welcome to our first vlog on the Earn Dog and Emily show. This is going to be more or less a getting to know us vlog. We're both going to go over our story thus far, our life story, not our whole life story because we haven't spent our whole life yet. But um, we thought it was important to kind of discuss these things with you all, and we're going to be coming on here more often. As you all know, I was banned from posting for a while because of a picture I shared 2 years ago. Someone flagged it and they banned me from going live, so we've had some issues with that. But
Crazy.
anyway, let's cut to the chase. I'll kind of go over some things and talk about my childhood. I was born on September the 7th, 1984, in Bowling Green, Kentucky. My parents were Ernie and Sandy McCone. They are both since passed. Dad passed in 2010, and Mom passed in 2019. I'm the youngest of four children. I have three sisters, Angie, Tanya, and Kristen. Um, we didn't stay in Bowling Green too long. I was about a year and a half, 2 years old before we moved up here. My mom and dad both worked for the school system down there in Bowling Green. Dad in maintenance, and Mom was a custodian. And when we moved up here in 1986, around May of 1986, we lived in Middletown for a bit. Moved to Ohio, that is. We lived in Middletown, Ohio for a bit, and then we moved to my hometown, which is Carlisle. Um, and I grew up there with my sisters. I think Tanya and Kristen may have started school in Bowling Green, but they definitely graduated in Carlisle. I graduated in the class of 2003. I was raised in a Christian home that wasn't always a happy home. And for those of my family that are watching this, I'm not bashing anybody or I'm not talking irreverently about anyone, but I didn't always have the best childhood, and probably my sisters could say the same thing. We had the best mom that you could have ever asked for. We had the best mom that we could have ever desired or prayed for. Uh, my mom, Sandy, was a loving woman. My mom, Sandy, was an encouraging woman. She was a prayer warrior. She was on fire for God. She was a godly woman. And any good that I think any of us are come from her. Dad was not always the best person. And I've always said I can count on my fingers how many times my dad told me that he loved me throughout my life. But I can't count how many times my mom told me that she loved me. Because she told me so many times that she loved me, and she sewed into me so much and encouraged me so much. It's unfathomable how many times she told me and how good she was to me. But Dad had some issues. Dad really had some issues, and he was a preacher. Um, and I love my dad with all my heart. And I'm not speaking ill of the dead. That's not what I'm doing. But he was a very abusive and hurtful man. He sowed a lot of self worth and um, negative outlooks on life into his children, and all four of us. And it's affected all of us in a lot of different ways. And I told myself I was going to come on here and be completely transparent, but I can remember like he would be wrestling around with me specifically, and he would put pillows over my head and try to smother me, and he would point loaded guns at me. He was just physically, mentally, and just verbally abusive. And I never understood why, because this was a man that stood behind the pulpit and preached the word of God, and he was a fantastic preacher. But at home, he was kind of a different person and lived almost like a double life and was just very abusive. So I grew up like that. Mom, like I said, on the other hand, was the other side of the coin. She was loving, she was encouraging. So I felt like I've always been torn between the two. And I had a lot of a good foundation, but a bad foundation. I basically saw everything in my dad that I didn't want to be. I didn't want to be abusive. I didn't want to be verbally, physically, mentally abusive. I saw how much that hurt me, and I didn't want to hurt anybody else that way. So throughout my life, I turned to things that I shouldn't have. whether it be alcohol, whether it be lust, whether it be relationships and friendships, and you end up going down a path that is very familiar because it's all you've ever known. And that's definitely what I did. I went down a path that broke me. And you don't always get a second chance. You don't always get that second breath of fresh air. Sometimes the road you take is the road you end up on, whether it's death or what have you. And I could have very much been there because I contemplated on numerous occasions ending my life when I was in the throes of this hurt that I had brought upon myself and other people have brought upon me. I'm not going to take full blame for like what happened in my life. There's some other people that are at fault too. But ultimately the choices I made were my own. Just because you've been in an abusive relationship or you've had abusive parents, that doesn't give you the right to be the same way. You can break that cycle. And I think if generational curses exist, it's basically the sins of the father trickling down to the children. You see what they did and you go on and do the same thing. You can break that. You have every single power within Jesus Christ to break that because there's power in his name.
Yeah.
But around 2017, 2018, I came back to Christ. And I was alone, and I made up my mind, you know what, I'm going to wait on you, Lord. I'm going to wait on you, and I'm going to pray that you would bring me someone that's going to find the best in me. You will bring me someone that's going to compliment me in every single way, and they're going to love me like I need to be loved. So I waited, and I prayed, and a lot of sleepless nights and a lot of tears. But then I met this beautiful one right here in January of 2019. And she just completely changed my outlook on life. We started talking, and it didn't take long for me to fall in love with her. She saw the best in me when, all I saw was ugly. And all I saw was all the baggage that I carried with me. But she didn't see that. She saw something beautiful. And we started dating in May of 2019. We got engaged in July. We got married March the 7th of last year. Mm-hmm. And as you can see here, we have a little baby, Miss Scarlett. She is 5.5 months old. She'll be 6 months old on
Friday,
the 20th. Yeah.
Can't believe it.
But I'm living proof that just because your past is filled with hurt doesn't mean that your future is, and I'm so thankful for that.
Yes. So I'll kind of start off with my childhood too. We just kind of, we know a lot of the people that watch our show on here know us, but just figured there are also people that don't. And just wanted to share a little bit. So I was born on November 14th, 1989. I grew up in Dayton. So I've always been here in Ohio. I have two sisters. I'm the oldest. I have Katie and then Megan, who are my best friends. I love them so much. We fought like cats and dogs as kids, but what kids don't, what siblings don't. I grew up in a home where my mom always went to church. My dad was in and out, but my mom always raised us in church. I've never known anything but, a life of living for the Lord. I haven't always lived for Him, but that is very much something that my mom instilled in all three of us girls. She taught us that, you live for the Lord, you love the Lord.
Yes.
You do what's right, and so I'm very thankful for my heritage. I went to a church my whole life until the church I'm at now, once I got married, where my great uncle was the pastor. He is an amazing, amazing man, and he very much had a huge impact on my life and still does. I love him very much, and I've never known what it's like to go to church where the pastor wasn't family, because then it was my great uncle and now it's my brother-in-law, and I'm so thankful for both of them. They have both, made such an impact on my life, taught me in different ways. I've only been going now for a couple years you know, to our church now where my brother-in-law is the pastor, but even in that short time, he has made such an impact on my life as well. And,
Yes.
you know, taught me things, you know, about ministry and reaching out to the lost, and given me opportunities to work, and I am so thankful for that. I'm very, very thankful for him and my sister-in-law, Kristen. But back to my childhood a little bit. We kind of had a little bit of a rocky road sometimes. Parents didn't always get along, and you know that's hard on kids. I'm really not going to go into too many details just because I don't really think it's necessary, but oh yeah. But we had a hard road as kids, but my mom always taught us that even though some things we might have seen weren't okay, that you know, she always taught us what we needed to want in a marriage in the future. And I think I saw so much that I decided at a very young age, like, there are things that I want in a marriage. There are things that I have seen that I don't want in a marriage. There are things that I have seen as a child that I don't want my future children seeing. There are things that I see that I was like, you know, I'm going to carry that into my future when I'm an adult, you know, both sides. But I know that my childhood definitely molded me. There's good and bad in that.
Sure.
You know, there's probably some deep-rooted issues or hurt or whatever down in there, but I am thankful for the relationship I have with both of my parents. Now, I've always had an amazing relationship with my mom. It has been rocky with my dad, that's no secret, but I am very thankful for the relationship I have with my dad now. He has done so very much for us, both
Yes,
my
he
parents
has.
have.
Yes, they have. They've been such a big help to us.
And, you know, there's nothing like, you know, when you've had a rocky relationship with somebody, it is like a breath of fresh air when you feel like you can look at them and truly love them. And I think as I've gotten older, I realize there are some things that, you know, are just in the past, and I can dwell on it and let it eat me up and let it, you know, affect me negatively, or I can through the Lord completely forgive and still have a relationship. And I'm thankful that God has helped me with that, because I very much am so thankful for the relationship I have with both my parents. And like I said, there were things that I didn't want in a marriage, and I am so thankful that God sent me Ernie, because I have the marriage that I've always wanted. I'll get back to that in a little bit, but I am so thankful that God sent him to me. Just to kind of touch on my salvation story a little bit, obviously I grew up in church, so at a very young age, you know, I was saved. At 13, I was filled with the Holy Ghost at Southern Ohio Youth Camp. And, you know, that definitely was something I'll never forget. And then, unfortunately, I walked away from the Lord when I was 18, for about 4 years. And I regret it with everything in me, because I went down a road that I am not proud of. I was doing things I'm not proud of, acting in ways I pushed my family away. Okay, Doodle, what is it? You want to say something? You want to say something on there? Do ya? But so I'm not at all proud of that person that I became. Yeah. Someone's didn't get her nap out. But on August 21st, 2011, so next Saturday will be 10 years. The Lord gave me another chance, and He took me back, and I'm so thankful that He did. It was at my old church, and we were in homecoming with the Rydells, and I had prayed a couple times before that at different times, but hadn't truly surrendered everything to God. I think I would just pray enough just to kind of get the conviction gone.
Yeah.
But I didn't
Me too.
truly surrender at all. I didn't truly want to give up the things that I was doing. And on August 21st, 2011, I did. I remember going into that service that morning, and I knew I wasn't living right. I was not saved. And I remember before that service, because I missed it. If you've ever been saved and backslid, you miss it.
Yes.
I don't know. I mean, it is such a horrible feeling.
Yes.
And I remember going into the service and said, God, if you will give me one more chance, if you will speak to me one more time, I promise this time I'm going to be sincere. I promise this time I'm going to truly give it all to you. And he is so faithful. He is so faithful because he did. During that service, he spoke to me. And he helped me take that step to give my life back to him. And I've talked about this at other times, so I can't even remember if I have talked about it on this page or not. But, it's kind of cliche to think about it. Because I've always heard people say, when they truly gave their life to the Lord, that it's like when they got up, the sky was a deeper blue and the grass was more green and all that. And I always just kind of thought it was just a saying.
Yeah.
But I will never forget that day. I got up, and after service, I walked out the back door, and I looked around, and I thought, wow, look how beautiful the sky is. Look how green those trees are in the grass. And everything just looked different. It looked so much better. It's like I truly, truly felt that way. And I know God truly saved me. And he helped me so much to completely change my life. He did it. It wasn't me. He did it. And so I am so thankful, that these last 10 years I've made mistakes. I am not perfect.
Me too.
But he is so faithful, and he's right there. As long as we come to him with an honest heart and ask him to forgive us, he will, and he will help us to not, do those things again. If that's what we're willing to try, he is so faithful, and he is right there.
Yes.
And so I am thankful that, it seemed like in the beginning I would think, it's going to be forever until I feel like I've been back in church long. And it's like, it's been almost 10 years now, and I'm so thankful for what he's done in these 10 years. Like he said, we met in January of 2019.
At a service that my brother-in-law, Rob, our now pastor, was preaching at.
Yeah.
At MFGT in Miamisburg.
And that was my church at the time.
Yes.
And, I had heard Rob preach before. He's a phenomenal preacher. So anytime he was coming, the whole church was excited. So, I was looking forward to service that night, but never in a million years would I have thought to myself, he's going to bring my future husband with him.
Right.
Never would have thought that. And so I got to service that night. I remember I was dressed real sloppy, I feel like. Maybe not. But I felt like, have you ever worn an outfit and you just feel sloppy? Like,
all the time.
You feel like it
right now.
I don't know, and looking back, it wasn't a sloppy outfit. It was church clothes.
Absolutely.
But I just felt...
You looked hot.
Thank you. But I just didn't feel good. Women know what I mean. But when I got to the service, I saw Rob, and then I saw someone sitting with him. But honestly, I thought to myself, like, he's probably married. So I didn't even let my mind go there in the beginning. I thought he was attractive from what I could see. But, like I said, I didn't even let my mind go there because I'm like, it's not even worth considering. He's probably married, or if he's not going to be interested in me. So, we had a wonderful service that night. And after church, my mom's best friend came up to me and was like...
Some birdies started talking, basically.
Yeah. People kept coming up to me like, hey, did you see him up there? And someone actually was like, he's too young for you. He's only in his 20s. Like, he's in his early 20s. And I was like, you don't look like he's that young, but okay. And come to find out, no, he wasn't. And long story short, several people talking to several people. My mom's best friend went and talked to him. My cousin Jonathan talked to him, and then talked to Rob, and kind of basically we were both too chicken to talk to each other. I did not know what had been said to him, and I was freaking out, and I don't do that, so I didn't talk to him. I was scared, and so long story short, later that evening after service, we added each other on Facebook. He sent me a message basically just saying, hey, thanks for the ad. Had a good time at your church tonight, da-da-da-da. And it started out that way. And there has not been one day that we...
Since January the 10th, 2019, even if we've been mad at each other, there's not been one day that's gone by where we haven't spoken to each other.
Exactly. There was one day when we were just talking that...
I was a little hasty and
no.
wasn't as responsive as I needed to be.
No, we had been talking, and I noticed that day, like, usually one of us would text first in the morning, but if I hadn't texted him by a certain time, usually he would text me just saying good morning or hope you have a good day, something like that. And it was like 1 o'clock, and he still hadn't texted, and I was thinking to myself, like, well, maybe he doesn't want to talk to me. So I'm not going to text him first. I'm just going to wait and see if he texts me. I'm just letting him text me. And the whole day goes by, and nothing. And so here I'm just, a total girl. What are you doing? And, like, so sad. I'm like, he's not even texting me. And then finally that night I ended up texting him, whatever. Ended up finding out that, he was just feeling down on himself a little bit that day. And had prayed that, if it was going to be us together, that maybe that God would have me reach out to him. And so I did. I didn't realize he had felt that way. So that was kind of one of those things, but there hasn't been a day that we haven't talked.
Right.
And then, like he said, we got engaged. We were actually at my house, and I knew he was going to be talking to my dad that day.
July the 6th of 2019.
I knew he was going to be talking to my dad just to get permission for us, old-fashioned, but I think that's so amazing that he wanted to talk to my dad about it.
Yes.
But then I thought that was the end of it. I didn't think it was going to happen that day. And so I remember he went upstairs, and I knew he was talking to Dad, and he was so nervous. And he came downstairs, and I'm like, okay, it's done. I knew what my dad was going to say. But then he was still acting weird. He was still acting like so nervous and stuff. And I'm like, what in the world? And all of a sudden, I was in the kitchen. We were actually making lunch, and he hands me his phone, and it was a video of him singing our song, which is I Believe in You and Being by the Four Tops. And all of a sudden I look over and I could see my sister around the corner recording, and so I realized what was happening, and of course started sobbing.
And I didn't even get through the whole video. I'm like, it's already been ruined. Will you be mine forever is what I said.
And of course I said yes. Like, it was the most amazing thing in the world. I think I was shaking all over. And then we got married that next March. It was hard to wait that long. But we did get married that next March. And it was beautiful. It was everything I ever wanted. I'm very thankful for our wedding. It was beautiful.
Yes, it was.
It was like he sang to me, which was amazing. So, yeah. But that is kind of just an overview.
Just a part one.
Yeah.
We're going to be doing a part two. We're going to get more into detail concerning our first year of marriage, our pregnancy, the birth of baby girl,
and little one.
Our 6 months so far with her. So we appreciate you guys. We love you guys. Stay tuned to our Facebook page. And if you haven't liked us on YouTube, subscribe, hit that favorite button, and we will talk to you guys soon. Bye, you guys. We love you.
Bye.